Hello and welcome into Talking Bengals. Guess who's back? That's right, it's this guy, the one who talks too much. So if you're watching this on YouTube, everybody's upset and the boss is back, quote unquote. But Zach, Nick, and Josh did a great job last week keeping the show going. It was one of the best episodes I've listened to. So kudos to these guys for not just going completely off the rails for the entire hour, only 25 minutes of it. So not bad, not bad. But today we have an exciting slate of activities, and we do have a full cast here tonight. Zach, how we doing?
Let's go, baby. I'm baking like a toasted cheeser down here in the dirty South, so.
And then we have Nicholas, also sporting the great Hambino.
Yep, low and outside, just the way I like it.
And Josh has to come up with a quote from a totally different movie. Go ahead, Josh.
Okay, I wasn't expecting to do a quote. I can't say the only quote that popped into my head because we're trying to keep this PG-13 at the most.
I didn't know Harry Potter was that risque, but okay. Well played. All right, so there you go. He's supporting Gryffindor. Go Gryffindor. For all of you Harry Potter fans out there.
There it is.
All right, so we're going to be getting into OTA reactions because this is the most exciting time of year. Who doesn't love off-season training activities? They're fantastic. And I'm going to throw Zach right under a bus on this one. Zach, tell us about your thoughts on OTAs.
Jamar comes back to practice this week, boys. Pretty excited about that. That little T can go away. So I didn't actually get to see any practice today. Had a lot of training to do. It is Monday, so we weren't able to see much, but I do hear that he's back in town and getting ready to go put some work in. So pretty excited about that. Nick, what are your thoughts on OTAs? Mr. Yanni Yan.
Jamar coming back this week, definitely something to be excited about. Joe Burrow showing he still has his arm strength in the first practice of the week. Much like you, Burnsy, I was busy doing something called work. I'm sure most of the people who listen to what we do on this podcast understand what that means. So yeah, I mean, just working and not really paying attention too much to the fun-loving topic of OTAs.
Well, hey, who doesn't love 7-on-7? That's the most exciting thing going on OTAs is 7-on-7. And it gets real boring real fast. It's fine. At best, it's fine. Josh, what are your thoughts on OTAs?
I mean, as I said, Jamar coming back is really the only thing that's newsworthy. We've talked everything else to death. I mean, getting him back in the fold, getting them back working together is going to be the biggest thing. I mean, OTAs, can't really expect too much from OTAs. I mean, yeah, everyone looks great when they're doing all the drills. I mean, there's not really too much that you can take from it. But starting tomorrow, there's going to be a lot more going on, I would say.
For a couple days, and then it's going to be dead. Not a whole lot going on after that until training camp. But we're going to do an interesting segment that just popped in my head right before we started the show. Guess the year based on OTA headlines. So I'm going to read you guys 5 headlines from OTAs from a certain year, and you have to guess. So let's see. Headline number 1. Margus Hunt is a front runner to start at left end. Headline 2. Vincent Ray seeing time with the first team. Headline 3. Darqueze Dennard is turning heads. Headline 4. Hugh Jackson hurrying up the offense. And headline 5. Jeremy Hill will see plenty of snaps. Name the year. What?
2002.
What?
Hold on. Time
Vinny
out.
Ray's a little bit.
All right. So my guess, I'm going to start with the last one first. I'm going to say Jeremy Hill was 2016. I'm going to go.
We're all the same year.
Really?
I thought they were all the same year. I'm just throwing
They
out a
are.
dumb
They're
name.
all the same year.
Oh, well, there you go.
All right, Josh, let's see if you
I'm
got
going
it.
to say 2014.
Yes, we have a winner. Joshua got it correct. 2014.
Jeremy Hill was really the one that did it for me.
Yeah. Nick, you are now going to be banished from the podcast.
I wasn't really listening, so I just
Like
kind of threw out
12
a
years
year.
old. Good.
My mind's a little elsewhere.
Is Hugh Jackson a player at this point or something? Like, all right,
Honestly, I thought you said Hugh Jackman, so I was like, what is he doing on the football field?
he's the greatest show. Then. Who knows? I don't know.
He's Wolverine. What is Wolverine doing on the playing field?
No, he was saying this is the greatest show. And that's all I did. All right, so moving on to other topics because OTAs are so exciting and just fantastic. We're just not going to do any more about them. Let's talk about other ridiculous offseason things that really should not be talked about, but we don't have that much content because there's no games. The Madden cover. Is it a curse? Is it not a curse? Should Joe Burrow be on the cover of Madden? Josh, what do you think?
I would say absolutely yes. Who was on the cover last season? Was it Josh Allen? I think it was Josh Allen. He made it through the season unscathed. Granted, it wasn't the best season, but he made it through unscathed. And I would say at this point, Joe Burrow's been the unluckiest quarterback in the entire league. I think the most unlucky player in the entire league. So I don't think being on the Madden cover is going to do anything to help that out. I would say it's definitely going to be cool for Bengals fans if he's on the cover. It's going to make me want to buy it. And I haven't bought a Madden game since I think Gronk was on the cover. So I'll definitely get it. I'd be very excited. It'd be really cool to get that one.
Nicholas?
The time I bought a Madden game was 1995. And I didn't buy it. It was a Christmas present for the Sega Genesis that we had for the family. You know, back when the whole family had a game console that they shared and not everybody individually had their own. And there was no such thing as online gaming. Imagine that there, young fellas. But no, I mean, I think I would probably wind up buying the game just because it has Joe Burrow on it. Probably give him some royalties there. I don't think that there's a curse. You know, for the longest time, you know, Sean Alexander and everybody else that they put on it got hurt. But I think that, I mean, you're playing a dangerous game. The game's not something to, you know, really just kind of toss out the, you know, the serious side of it. What are you laughing about? You throwing your little top hat on top of your coffee there, Zach?
Sorry.
Everybody's got to tell, Zach.
You're a
Talk
bit distracting, Zachary.
I was a bit distracted. I apologize.
No, but I mean, it's not necessarily a.
Wow. Very professional, Zach. This is a professional podcast. Gosh.
Yeah.
Sorry, Nick, for the unprofessional activities.
Docking your pay.
Yeah, we're gonna have to dock his pay somehow. You know, when we find out how we're gonna actually get paid at some point. So I mean, the Madden cover is not. It's not a curse. It's not a curse, but it could be. Who knows?
We don't know. We have no idea. But Zach, I'm not going to let you talk about Madden since you left because that's such a topic we don't need to get into.
No. Hold on.
No,
Time out.
no,
I have things to say about Madden.
All right. You have 1 minute. Go.
Ooh, only 1 minute. I
50
can't say
seconds.
the last time that the Madden curse was actually real. I think Nick alluded to it. I want to say it was probably like 2000. Was it 2010? 2010 when they had Troy Polamalu on there, him and Larry Fitzgerald. Does that anybody know? Bueller. Okay, cool. All right, that's my guess. That was probably the last time it was actually real. Am I excited about Joe Burrow being on there? Not really. Will I buy it? Absolutely. Yeah. So That's what I have to say about it. How did I do? I bet you that was less than 60 seconds.
It was 59.9. There you go. That's what we'll call it.
Kobe.
But yeah, I've not bought a Madden game since 2007, so I don't really care. So moving on to other topics. The Minnesota Vikings have done two things recently. One, they dropped a ridiculous amount of money on a receiver. Thanks. We're all excited about that here in Cincinnati. It means we just get to pay even more money to a receiver. He's worth more money than Justin Jefferson anyway. But then they also tried to steal the white uniforms, even though theirs don't look nearly as cool as the Bengals white uniforms. So I'm going to jump into the contract discussion. Someone else take the white uniforms. $89 million guaranteed money. That is a crap ton of money. That's me. Then I can't believe they pay receivers that kind of guaranteed money. Like honestly, because receivers, even if you're at the top of the game, how long do you stay there? And it's going to cripple your team. But you got to pay. Now Jamar is going to have to make more. It doesn't matter. He's got to make more or he's not going to be happy. So just might as well bust out whatever kind of checkbook you need. But, yeah, I don't like that. Anybody else want to talk about the contract before we get into uniforms?
He buy Joe Morgan's dealership or somebody buy it and gift it to him and put his name on it. I mean, that's how Alabama played Julio Jones.
Yeah.
I said what I said.
All right, Nick, thoughts on the different white uniforms versus the Vikings versus the Bengals?
I think it was kind of cheap. I mean, why? First of all, why? Another NFL team went to the all-white uniforms with the.
Take your career to new heights with Constructive Curiosity. Whether it's career coaching, mental performance training, or business management consulting, Constructive Curiosity has the insight to get it right. Visit constructivecuriosity.com to get started
Absolutely
today.
Amazing look, and then you go to throw your purple in it. Like, why? I like purple. I went to a college where our colors were purple. We had, I think that the Vikings purple is awesome, but I think there's so many different combinations they could have gone with instead of white.
Yeah, why
Like maybe a white helmet with the purple Viking logo with an all purple jersey. That would be less tacky than that all white because it's something that only they could do, right? Make it team specific. The Bengals, white tiger, a white Bengal tiger. I mean, it just naturally occurs. So I think it's stupid, to put it bluntly.
I'll make it like a minor league baseball team and literally make your jersey look like a Viking outfit. You don't have to have a cape or anything. Just have it printed. I mean, the Florence Y'alls did dad bods a couple years ago. That was pretty funny. So yeah, make it more entertaining. Josh, what are your thoughts on the uniforms?
I think it's ugly. They took something that the Bengals did so well. I mean, they, as Nick said, white Bengal tiger. It's a real thing. Siberian tigers. That Vikings look, I think it looks dumb. Tacky. They tried to rip off the Bengals' successful, really cool jersey, and it just doesn't look very good, I don't think. I saw them side by side today on Facebook.
Bad.
And it's not even close. The Vikings they ain't doing it, man. Go ahead, Zach.
I guess I'm going to be the difference maker here because I actually like it. Do I think it's like, a playoff of the Bengals? Absolutely. But I actually like it. I think it looks cool. I think they were trying to do some sort of like, what's that HBO show called? Oh, no. King of Thrones? Game of Thrones. Yeah, there you go. Whatever that is. I don't get into that kind of crap. But I think that's what they were trying to go for, like some winter is coming kind of crap. But I don't know. I don't believe in it, but I think it does look at least, aesthetically appealing. If I was, not a Bengals fan, I probably would like it a lot more. But that's just my opinion.
Well, just like always, Zach's opinion is wrong. Just put that in the record book. Zach's opinion is wrong. Okay, moving on to Who Dey History. So we touched on receivers a few weeks ago, but we're going to actually get into it a little bit further. We'll let Zach have a chance to redeem himself here in a minute. But before we get into that, so we're looking at the top 5 receivers in Bengals history. Jay Morrison from Pro Football Network came out with the list. His was pretty interesting, and I'm going to say we're going to start there, and we're going to debate, was he right or wrong? So it had Chad Johnson, number 1, A.J. Green, number 2, Carl Pickens, number 3, Jamar Chase, number 4, and Isaac Curtis, number 5. So, Zach, we're going to give you a chance here. We're going to, just lay one up for you. It's an easy one right down the middle here. Is Chad Johnson the best receiver in Bengals history?
No.
I'm going to say you're wrong. Wrong answer.
I'm going Chad too. Chad was electrifying. Chad did a lot for the organization. He loves it here. No qualms with Chad as a player and what he's done for us and the excitement he brought in the early 2000s to this team. But I don't think he's the number 1 receiver, and he even said it himself. Now, am I going to say Jamar is that number 1? Absolutely not. My personal opinion, again, my opinion is always right. Okay, change the name. I'm always right. I'm going to go Carl Pickens. Then I'm going to go Chad. Then I'm going to go A.J. Green. Then I'm going to go Isaac. And then I'm going to go Jamar. Those are my top 5 out of there.
Okay,
I'm not wrong. I'm right.
Defend Carl Pickens. I love Carl Pickens. That was my favorite childhood player. But defend Carl Pickens being number 1.
He's my favorite childhood player behind Doug Pelfrey.
Okay, going with the heart there. Nicholas, what are your thoughts on Zach's list and Jay Morrison's list? Send your own list. Make up whatever. These are the top 5 guys.
The rules are made up and nothing matters.
I mean, just purely off of skill and difference maker. My opinion, and of course, we're not going based off of stats because who likes stats? I think that Chad Johnson made the biggest impact on any of the Bengals teams. I think that right behind him, you have to recognize Carl Pickens, because without Carl Pickens, pylon fade, where would it be?
Word.
Right? Who could run a pylon fade? He did it in college. Fantastically. Came into the pros, ran it even better. Then I think Isaac, I think he comes into the third. Kind of a toss-up between him and Chris Collinsworth to see who had one of the most impacts in their tenure here in Cincinnati. I don't like Chris Collinsworth, the commentator, but him as a Bengal, he played extremely well. And then I think Jamar Chase, only because he hasn't had a long enough tenure. I think he comes in low man at number 5 because he doesn't have the tenure. Now you bring in this conversation another 5, 6 years down the road, and Jamar Chase is still here playing. I think Chad Johnson and Jamar Chase are fighting for that number 1 spot in my mind.
Josh.
I kind of got to agree. You got to put Chad Johnson number 1. The time when the Bengals were crap, they nobody cared about them. They were the worst thing you can be in sports, and which is irrelevant. Chad Johnson brought them back to the mainstream. He was an amazing player, and he was entertaining to watch. He made football fun to watch, not just because he was so good, but because he was an entertainer above all. I kind of agree having A.J. Green.
Podium Automotive is a proud sponsor of Talkin Bengals. In Greater Cincinnati, it's Podium Automotive for all your auto needs. Skilled technicians, quality service you can trust, and fair prices. Tell us Talkin Bengals sent you and get 5% off all services. Schedule your appointment today on Facebook at Podium Automotive or call 859-869-0097.
I might put AJ Green number 3. Pickens would be 2. Jamar Chase, I think, as Nick was saying, I do completely agree. In the next maybe 3 to 4 years, he could take that number 1 spot because he has the talent to be the best receiver, but he hasn't been here long enough. And he's had a couple seasons where he's been a little bit knocked up. Not knocked. He hasn't been knocked up.
He got knocked up.
Not him. Knocked out in a few games.
Banged up.
He only missed a couple months, not too long. But I think in the future he will end up taking the number 1 spot. But as of right now, where we stand today, yeah, I can see him being number 4. And then number 5, I can't really pick one. There's so many people you can put at number 5. It's a whole lot more wide open as you get to the bottom of the list. But those 4, I think, in my opinion, got to be in that order.
So when you look at it, it's so hard to compare people across eras. That's what makes it the most difficult. And especially Isaac Curtis played in a totally different game. It wasn't nearly as pass heavy. You could literally tackle wide receivers at the line and sit on them. But he also had a future, should already be Hall of Fame quarterback pretty much his entire career. And that's where I give Zach a little bit of respect with the Carl Pickens pick at number 1, because Carl Pickens was playing with the Sisters of the Blind as his quarterback the majority of his time. I mean, you had David Klingler. Need I say more? David Klingler. 1995, Jeff Blake was good. Made the Pro Bowl when it was actually like a better thing. 1996, Jeff Blake was meh. And then he sucked and got beaten out by a 37-year-old Boomer Esiason. And then Kelly Smith wasn't drafted until a couple years later, so I can't even remember who the quarterback was. Like the last 2 years of the 90s. Was that Neil O'Donnell? Neil O'Donnell. And then maybe Gus Frerotte. So he's getting all of these washed up, has been or never will be quarterbacks, and he still led the league in receptions 2 years in a row. Had 2 second-team All-Pros, if I remember right. And if he would have been with a good quarterback, probably could have been a Hall of Fame caliber receiver. But I mean, that's where he also had a decent supporting cast of receiver. Darnay Scott was good, but can you remember anybody other than Darnay Scott? And I mean, I'm a big Bengals fan, and the people I can come up with here were like 1 year here, 1 year there. Like that's it. That's all I can think of. Nobody that really made an impact. So I get your Carl Pickens argument. And that's why AJ Green for me slips from number 2 to 3 would be it's Chad, obviously, because Chad just, like I said, the impact on the organization, the electricity he made the Bengals relevant, like y'all talked about. Then I'd say Carl Pickens number 2. AJ Green number 3, but yes, we hated on Andy Dalton, but Andy Dalton is the most B- quarterback to ever play the game. And he was fine. He wasn't bad. He wasn't good. He was fine. But fine is a lot better than Neil O'Donnell, Gus Frerotte, David Klingler. I mean, AJ Green never played with a bad quarterback. He didn't play with a great superstar quarterback, but you didn't have a bad quarterback either. So you can't really complain too much. Then I'd say Jamar is going to eventually be number 1, but he's number 4 right now, and then Isaac Curtis. That's how I'll round it out. So pretty much the same 5 guys. Everybody else after that, kind of we talked about a few weeks ago, kind of falls off a little bit. But that brings us to the most exciting portion of the evening. Zach has an alibi. Go ahead.
I don't think it falls off that far, though, because I think your 6 and 7 are probably a Chris Collinsworth and a TJ Houshmandzadeh, in my personal opinion. You got to throw TJ up there because he was a great compliment for Chad, and why I have him at 2. Like you said, Darnay Scott for Carl Pickens was a great, counter for him, but he wasn't as productive as TJ was in complimentary to Chad. So, and then as far as AJ Green goes, he has to be in the top 3 because, like you just said, Casey, he is he's he's okay. He's good. He gets it. He gets the job done for the most part. We went to 5 straight playoff games. When was the last time you could say that as a Bengals fan? So
that's the only time ever.
right,
Mhm.
exactly. AJ bailed Andy out a lot of those times in order for that to happen. So therefore, I got to put him at 3. So now we can move on.
All right. Now that Zach's done pontificating, who talks too much now?
This guy.
We're gonna move into the off-season rambling and jumble. So if you're here just to hear strictly Bengals talk, that portion of the show is ended. Come over to Talking Bengals After Dark, PG style. This is what we're going to be getting into here. So, first off-season topic, just because we put it out there twice and it's come in second place a few times. Who is which Golden Girl out of these hosts?
No, you're the one who
Well,
complains
right.
all the time.
So we're gonna let Zach be the first one to pick another person. Go ahead, Zach. Who do you think is who?
All right. So you're saying he's
You
Dorothy.
label one
Well,
person.
I don't know where Casey is on the board. So Nick is saying Casey is Dorothy.
Fair.
Nick, you're definitely not Blanche.
They know who they are.
What?
Wow, you're a disappointment. You are a
Never-
disappointment.
I've
Never watched
it.
Golden Girls in my life.
This is not you.
I
And yes, this is a mint container.
okay.
So for those. So I'm going to go Nick on this one is good old Betty White. Mind blanking on names because, I'm good with names
Rose.
and everything.
Yeah, you're
like that.
definitely a
There you
Rose
go,
Nyland.
Rose.
You're an
Yeah.
airhead that talks too much and doesn't
Oof.
know what they're talking about. So there we go.
That leaves Blanche and my girl Sophia. So, Josh, I think you're awful attractive, but I think you're more Sophia in this aspect.
I don't know if that's good or bad, but thank you.
You're
She's dating
you're
3-year-old
the
mom.
mom. You're Dorothy's mom that lives at home.
See, the balds don't lie.
I wish I had the rest of my mints. So,
So Zach is making himself the hoochie of the group. I bet Cheyenne is thrilled.
I'm the biggest
Let's go
thought
back.
on this podcast.
Let's go back. Casey's the hoochie. Let's just get that out of the way. Okay.
Oh Lord, goodness gracious!
It's a good
guys
thing
are
our
the
wives
winners.
don't watch this show.
All right, that's the only off-season topic I had. Somebody else throw something in.
I came up with last week. Zach, you got this one.
I think we talked about it before the show. So, what house in Harry Potter would you all be in if you had the sorting hat put on? So, we know Josh is Gryffindor. If you're not watching, he's wearing a giant Gryffindor shirt. Nicholas,
Would probably wind up Gryffindor.
what a lame. Casey,
Slytherin.
yeah, you are a little sly.
Word.
I told you guys this, so I'm going to just tell the listeners this as well. Growing up, well, I am still colorblind. So growing up, I didn't know until I had a 9-year-old tell me, i.e. my oldest daughter, that Ravenclaw is not actually purple. And I guess just because, I've watched football my entire life, I just assumed that the Ravens, who are purple, and Ravenclaw were purple. I was like, yeah, I like this house. That's kind of NFL-esque. Good job, J.K. Rowling. And then my 9-year-old proceeds to tell me that's actually blue. So, for those of you that didn't know, I am full-blown colorblind, and I don't know the difference between a blue and a purple.
Oh, I'm
granted.
colorblind as well in certain ways, and that definitely looks purple.
Thank you.
Well,
Josh and I, Team Purple all day.
We're gonna do fun
purple
facts
is a
here.
shade of blue. Okay, there's blue and purple.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. You are
The
correct.
primary color.
However, apparently, I'm just way off the realm because it's more
secondary.
There's no
color,
red
so
in there.
primary. Okay, so why are the Baltimore Ravens purple?
Great question, Casey. Tell us.
Anybody
Not
know
allowed
the
to
answer
say.
but me? Because of the poem "The Raven," the velvet
Edgar Allan
tufted
Poe?
curtains were purple. Yes, they were purple curtains
Oh.
that he describes when the raven comes in. So that became the color of the Baltimore Ravens is purple from the poem, which is a great poem. Not a Baltimore fan, but I'm an Edgar Allan Poe fan.
Oh, I love Edgar Allan Poe. Some good
Okay,
stuff.
favorite poem by Edgar Allan Poe. Go.
Oh heck,
Raven.
I don't know the names of them. I just know what happens.
Jeez.
Like the one where dude basically builds up a wall and puts somebody else in it.
Ooh.
I can't think of the name of it.
The Cask of
don't know the name.
Amontillado.
Yes.
That's a great one.
Yes, I love that one.
It's a good one. I like it.
Mm.
Zach, do you have a favorite Edgar Allan Poe poem?
Best thing that I've ever read in my entire life was the Cincinnati Enquirer sports section. Just saying.
Yeah, Zach
Nope.
is not educated or classy.
No.
That's what he's telling
No,
us.
that's why I live in Alabama now. So 49th
Zach,
rated
you've read the
educated state.
Bible. You've
That's
read the
true.
Bible, so
You're right.
you've read something
You're right.
much better.
Nick wins
Did
that
read the
argument there.
best-selling book of all time. So there you go.
Yep, absolutely. And it'll
Also
change
the
your
most
life.
forced upon book of people, but we're not going to get into that. Anyways,
Ooh.
jumping to carry on. What's your favorite Edgar Allan Poe poem, Nick?
Raven.
The Raven is a great one. That is probably the most timeless and well-known. Josh hit on one of my other favorites, but one that we probably all read in high school was The Telltale Heart. The one where the guy with the weird eye just drives this guy crazy. He ends up killing him and burying him under the floorboards. And then he confesses everything.
Heartbeat.
Yeah, here's the heartbeat. Nicholas?
Yeah, we were all probably supposed to read that one. Yeah, I didn't read that one.
So to go back to Harry Potter here, that's
Hold on.
hanging out with Nick and Zach. Hold on, let me finish my thought real quick before I lose it. Hanging out with Nick and Zach is like when the Harry Potter and what's his face are pretending to be Draco's friends, and he's like, "I didn't know you could read." That's what I think every time I see you guys with a book.
I read of Mice and Men. Great movie, right? The Scarlet, great movie, great book. I like the book better. I read, oh my gosh, Scarlet Letter. That was a good book. Still applies today. Everybody read it. Makes sense. And why I'm saying that. Oh my gosh.
And this is the list of all the books Nick has read in his entire life.
All right, when you watch Mr. Deeds, when the girl is talking about like her uncle Atticus or whatever,
Kill a Mockingbird.
To Kill a Mockingbird. I
That's her
couldn't
dad.
remember it. Yeah, whatever. I read the book. It was like 25 years ago, so leave me alone.
Great book. Good movie.
I like the book better.
Books are 90% of the time better.
If I had the attention span to read enough, I probably would have did.
Guess what? You just proved that advertising on podcasts works. Reach thousands of local listeners each week and grow your business. Reach out to Talkin Bengals today to find out more by emailing talkinbengals@gmail.com.
I'm going to appeal to our younger audience here, right? I'm the reason you have turnitin.com. I'm just going to throw that out there. I used to SparkNote, CliffNote, Wikipedia when it was first invented, and that's how I figured out how to write papers. That's actually why I failed English 3. I got hit for plagiarism my junior year because I just didn't care to do the the assignment on George W. Bush. And so I did the intro and I did the closing, and everything else was Wikipedia. And she gave me a big fat 0. And I failed the class because I refused to redo the paper because I didn't want to. And I just didn't care that much. And that's why I didn't play my senior year.
Yay! So let this be a lesson to you. Don't just use Chat GPT. That is just the modern way to do plagiarism. You will get caught.
Yeah, all they have to do is just PDF. You can just like scan on your phone and then send it into it and see if it was created by Chat GPT or not. It's not hard. If I know how to do it, I guarantee your teachers know how to do it too. Yes, I do. Well, that's because you're dumb.
It's called Google. Google Chat
I love it.
GPT.
He's an idiot.
Well, Josh has been quiet for too long. Josh, what do you want to talk about?
Oh, heck. I mean, how about what's your favorite bourbons? Casey, go.
Ooh, favorite bourbons. So many good ones. So you can't put me on the spot yet. Now I'm like literally running through a list of awesome bourbons. And
Well, I'll tell you, I bought a bottle of Eagle Rare, and that's probably my favorite one I've had. I've had some pretty good ones. I've had the Blantons. I've had Weller 12, 107. I've had all of those. Eagle Rare is probably the tastiest and easiest drinking one.
so I would definitely say if you're going for a not ridiculously expensive, Woodford is always a good choice to go with. Horse Soldier's really good. Basil Hayden's kind of in the moderate range. I will say one of the most interesting tasting bourbons, and not just because we're all from here, Boone County bourbon tastes a little different. Like it honestly does. When I drank it, I'm like, first time I had it, I'm like, I don't know if I like this. But the more you sample it, the more you're like, well, it's interesting. It's got a unique taste to it. So it's not bad. But then what's the shoot? Josh, I think we had it last time you were over here. One of the times you're over here, it has it's the bourbon that's like set in Cabernet Sauvignon, like flasks or like barrels.
Oh, yeah. No, I can't think of what it was. That was really good.
That was really good, but I can't think of what it's called.
Is that one I brought? No, never mind. I might have brought one at one point.
Can't remember what it's called. Nicholas, do you have an opinion you'd like to share?
I do. If you're going for cheap, Jim Beam is the way to go. Don't go anything less than Jim Beam. If you're going for like a little bit more expensive, right now I think the best bourbon that I've had, and a little bit more expensive than Jim Beam, it's kind of like a New Riff single barrel. But of course, if you're going expensive routes and willing to spend $300, $400, $500 on one bottle of bourbon, Josh, then you start looking into Eagle Rare, you start looking into Blantons and all that fun.
I got it for $55.
Whatever. You definitely got somebody who watered it down like we used to in high school, Casey.
Can neither confirm nor deny that ever happened.
Yes, you can.
Statute of limitations may not have run out. I don't know.
It's been 20 years.
Yeah, I was going to say after 17 years, I think we're good.
Probably, yeah.
God, it's already been 17 years. Get out of here. Jesus.
Zachary, do you have any input? Or what is your favorite brand of spring water?
My favorite brand of spring water. No. So before, I would say 1792 is probably one of my favorite bourbons. It's actually probably one of the smoothest ones I've ever had as well.
Really good.
It's so soft and subtle, but it'll get you feeling really good really quick. My wife enjoys that one as well. She'll drink it straight, which is typically what you want to do with a bourbon anyway. I like a classic Jim Beam as well, especially when we're in the in-between months, paycheck to paycheck kind of lifestyle. Another one, I like Eagle Rare. Surprisingly, you guys didn't mention Four Roses. Four Roses is actually a pretty good one. I like Casey's
Single
suggestion.
barrel. Single's the best.
Yeah. I like Casey's Boone County one. The Boone County bourbon was when it took off a few years ago. Was pretty good. Gosh, there probably wasn't too many bourbons I haven't tried. I have an unopened one somewhere in the house, wrapped in a bubble wrap because it was supposed to be a celebratory one with a buddy of mine. We just haven't gotten together to open said bottle. So now I'm just going to hold on to it and see what happens with our next move. Maybe we'll be celebrating retirement or something.
Hooray!
Yeah.
Well, this has been a fun episode. I've enjoyed it thoroughly, but we're getting toward the end here. So you've been able to figure out who's what Golden Girl, who's in what Harry Potter house, what kind of bourbons do you want to try, Edgar Allan Poe trivia. So, I mean, it's all kinds of great things. AFC North trivia for non-Bengals related things. So, hey, it's been fun-filled. It's been jam-packed. We do got to plug the sponsors right now. Is your car making funny sounds? Did the wheels wobble in weird ways? Do you need a check engine light coming on? Or do you have a check engine light coming on? No one needs it, but do you have one? If so, Podium Automotive is the place to go. They can fix all your problems for anybody here in the greater Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky area, right off 275. Very easy to find. Come check them out there in the Hebron area, off Petersburg Road in Limaberg. Makes no sense why it's Petersburg Road when it's in Hebron, but it leads to Petersburg. So, hey, if you're from Boone County, you understand why roads are named things that they are. Other than that, check out Constructive Curiosity. The podcast is going to be making a return there if you're a dedicated listener. Also, if you need career coaching, mental performance training, or you have a business and you'd like to step it up and make it shine and make more people come to you, check out Constructive Curiosity at constructivecuriosity.com. And I will send it to Nick for his closing thoughts. Nicholas?
Can the season get here fast enough?
Yes.
Baseball season is closing up, locally. We're not talking about the major leagues who play 400 games a year. We're talking about our kids. We're talking about, now we're starting to talk about, Pop Warner football, Pee Wee football. Our kids starting to, look at football practice, getting football cleats and pads and everything ready. Now it's coming in football season. I'm getting excited. Going into June, we only got a couple more weeks until we start thinking about training camp. Man, it needs to come faster.
Word. Josh?
I agree. Football season cannot get here fast enough. But I think the main thought I have is starting tomorrow, the Madden cover comes out, as well as Joe Burrow has media availability. Have we all heard Joe Burrow's voice? The EA Sports, it's in the game. If you haven't heard it, it's Joe Burrow saying it. I think they're hinting towards he might be on the cover, so looks like I might be buying myself a Madden game.
Nice. Zach, plug the socials and drop it out.
I was actually just checking my medium formerly known as Twitter to see if there was any announcements that came out based on what Josh was just talking about. Still nothing there. But if you want to check us out on YouTube, Instagram, or Threads, it's Talkin_Bengals. And then if you want to give us a follow on X, formerly known as Twitter, or Facebook, it is just Talking Bengals. All of those without an N, or excuse me, without a G. Sorry, that Kentucky education kicked in on me.
You read well.
Or you can just go to our website, talkinbengals.com. Again, without a G. There's definitely an N in there. And with that said, Casey, Who Dey?
So if you would also like to be featured here on the Talking Bengals podcast or our website or our social media pages, let us know. We are taking ads right now. We're getting that out there. We want to help you grow your business. We have a dedicated listener base here in the greater Cincinnati area, and we're expanding to different Bengals fans all over the world. check us out. We want to help you grow together, community focused. We're all in this one as one team to get everything moving. We all love the Bengals, love the community. Let's keep it going. And that's going to do it. Thank you all for listening. Who Dey?
Who Dey?
Who Dey?
Thank you for listening to Talkin Bengals. Be sure to like and subscribe to Talkin Bengals on Facebook and Instagram at Talkin Bengals. You can also listen to Talkin Bengals on your preferred podcast provider.